interception.
What a remarkable drive, man. That's an All-American drive right here.
It's not exactly unwarranted. Like, when you have a guy that's that electric.
The legend himself, the GOAT, Dre Crowell.
Where my warm bottle movement at?
That kills your argument right there. Anything can happen. This game is not over.
What's good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Smitty, and I'm out here solo dolo with it tonight, man. Had to bring out the twisties and everything, but hey, your boy's been busy. I know some guys have probably been asking about what's been going on with the highlights. I've seen a couple people asking DMs and certain things like that. Unfortunately, you know, as most of you guys already know, I've been out here working, trying to get a job, taking these exams and all this stuff with to be an RBT. So I've been studying like crazy for this exam. I thought it was going to be light, took a practice exam and quickly got humbled. So yeah, your boy been studying crazy. You know what I mean? So took practice exams, all types of things. So I have not had the time to cut up highlights and do all of that stuff. Still going to get the still images here on the final scores and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, oh snap. I just realized I was showing the top 25. Oh man. Play the bell. Oh, what's going on with your boy? Hey, y'all. So I guess the cat's out the bag. The cat's out the bag. Too late. Might as well show him up, man. So y'all, look, hey, we're gonna get the top 25 out early, man. Oh man, dang, took an L. I gotta play another bell for that. That's crazy. But yeah, man, I was waiting to say this after the recap because I know Dunn was talking a little crazy on the podcast, talking about, hey, why is my TCU better be number one? Listen, let me tell you why they're not number one. I'm gonna tell you why they're not number one. Same reason why Miami wasn't number one when Ohio State, when they had more wins than Ohio State, but they was undefeated. I'm not counting a game over top of somebody if they have a game, if they have not lost a game and they had a bye week. So that's the reason why Ohio State was able to stay number one, you know, a couple weeks before over Miami. They had one less win than them, but they didn't lose either. So I didn't hold that bye week against them. Now, if you lost a game, your bye weeks will now be held against you. So with that being the case, Miami was already over TCU. A lot of guys arguing, saying, hey, TCU needs to be, you know, they playing better than Miami. But look, at the same time, you know, I've given Miami a lot of flack, you know, because I know ultimately what they want. They want to win the national championship, but they can't win it playing the way that they are right. They have been as of late, right? But at the end of the day, they are playing Miami football. You never know what's going to happen. So, you know, they find ways to win, and, you know, it doesn't matter if they're not winning by much. They're still winning. They still haven't been beaten. TCU's been looking great. Both sides of the ball. Yes, they have. But at the end of the day, I still cannot put them over Miami yet, even though they have one more win than them, but they had a bye week. You know, Miami was just off this past week. So we'll see how that goes out. Not to mention that, you know, she got a really good offense in TCU, probably the best in the college series versus the best defense in the college series right now in Miami. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see, you know, down the line if these two teams stay in the top four and they end up meeting each other. So we'll see how that all goes. But for that reason, Miami has to stay at number one. Obviously, TCU is number two. They're the first team to be bowl eligible right now at 6-0. Last year it was USC, and that's USC now following in at number 3. Texas at 4. Ohio State dropping from the number 1 team after their loss to number 5. Number 6 is Alabama. 7 Oregon. 8 Georgia moving up. 9 North Carolina. 10 Penn State's been moving up. I think they were 15 last week, so they moved up 5 spots. LSU at 11. These guys shocking. Baylor at 12. I think they were already there. Maryland dropping from 7 to 13 after a tough loss this past week. Tennessee staying at 14. I think they had a bye week this week. West Virginia dropping to 15. Washington dropping down some spots after their loss down here to 16. 17 Clemson. 18 Notre Dame. 19 Oklahoma. 20 Michigan. 21 Wisconsin, 22 Auburn, 23 Arizona State, 24 Stanford, and 25 Texas A&M. So that's the top 25 that I did not want to reveal at all this early, but I was literally messing with things first to make sure that I had everything ready and forgot to hide this from you guys. So you guys get the top 25 early this week. That's the top 25 heading into week 7. Let's go ahead and talk about the games that led, though, to these rankings and, you know, what happened in the crazy week 7 that we had to start, you know, this past week, man. Some crazy games, a lot of upsets, a lot going on in this year's college series, man. If you have not been watching the college series, you're not fired up with what you've been seeing, man. I know a couple of y'all salty. You know, it's a couple losses. You know, number 1 team, Ohio State taking an L. We're gonna talk about all that. We're gonna get the bells ready. I don't have the headsets on right now because, you know, usually I'm on here, you know, with Bill and Rob, and I have to listen to them. But, you know, because I got, you know, this situation going on, I got stuff in my hair. I don't want it on my headset. So I'm going to have to play the bell and all that without even hearing it. But let's go ahead and get a look at these recap games. So first we start off the week, Florida State versus North Carolina. We've seen Florida State be able to put up some pretty decent games up against some pretty decent teams, right? But of course, when you got Will Stern at quarterback, you throw 5 interceptions. Let's play the bell just for that. Because, homeboy, I might need to bring the headset up near my ears. I need to hear the bell. You know, I can't go out here without that. Let's play another bell for him. That's 5 picks. Let me hear that. 5 picks. Come on, man. I might need to put these on my neck like this. Yeah, put these on my neck, then raise them up so I can hear when I need to. So, now this thing choking me out. Bad decision. Y'all just gonna have to hear it. We'll hear it on the playback. But yeah, Florida State got absolutely blown out, man. Shutout. They were the first team to get a shutout this season and the last team to just get one themselves. I mean, they beat, who was it? They blew out Iowa 35-0. Then they play, of course, UNC. UNC supposed to win this game. And honestly, they are supposed to do this. And we've been waiting for UNC to do this because they've been having a lackluster season as well, but not sitting too bad. They're 4-2. 4-2 on the season. Solid. Of course, they want to be better. There's some games, of course, a few games that they lost. They wish they could get back, you know, whatever. But 29 points hung up on Florida State. And your boy, Jeffrey Rozier, he's been showing out, man. That beautiful over-the-shoulder catch you can see here on this picture. I had to put that on the poster. Jet Blade, one of the better throws we've seen all season, but probably his only good throw that we saw within the game. He was a little shaky. 2 picks, 1 touchdown. Just Jet Blade, you know, once again coming out here looking like, you know, the Popeyes butter knife. But Swan, big game on the ground, 100+ yards. We've been waiting for him to get off. Once again, we know what line he's working with. Got to see the end zone. That's great. Mari Bone, 54 yards, you know, doing what he can on a struggling team. He's always going to continue to get you whatever production he possibly can. But against this UNC team, got a good defensive line, and he held it down. Of course, they picked the quarterback off 5 times. And Stern did not throw not 1 touchdown. So, yeah, Stern is back. Let's play another bell for this guy, man. That's awful. 5 picks. That might be the most we've gotten so far this season. At least tied for it. That's pretty bad. Yeah, so we're going to move on. Big win. Florida State, 1-5. UNC, 4-2 on the season. Now, this was a shock. Already, you want to talk about shocking the shenanigans. You know, just something coming out crazy, unexpected. You know, some guys saying, yo, Penn State's actually pretty. Look, and I'm not saying they aren't good. I'm not saying that they aren't good. We expected these guys to be trash. We really did. We thought that they were going to come out here and they were going to, you know, some guys predict they weren't going to win a game this season. A single game this season. They've got 4 wins. And Michigan, they've been struggling. They're 2-4 right now. But the thing about Michigan, on why I really thought they were going to at least have this game in the bag, is when you look at the schedule, they've got the toughest schedule of the season. Of the entire series, they play the toughest comp. But guess what? When they play those teams that they should be able to get the wins against this season, they lose. I need to go ahead and check up this just real fast on my own in here. I need to see once again who they lost to, because there's a game that they should have had this season that they didn't win. And Penn State, even though they're a good team, this is a game they should have won. And that's just my honest opinion. I chose them to win this week. Thought they was going to be able to get it done. Michigan, they fumbled the bag. These guys even had Iowa hanging around. You know, and Iowa got blown out by Florida State with a quarterback who just threw 5 interceptions this week, 35-0. So what is this telling you right now about Michigan? I don't know. I know Creed's been already talking crazy about his team. They've been looking crazy, but I'm trying to pull up the schedule right now just so I could see that. All right, so we get a look at Michigan. Of course, they lost first week to USC. That's a game we expected them to most likely lose. Miami expected them to most likely lose in that one. Baylor Game we actually expected them to lose, but they won 17-7. Okay, great. At that point, we're like, okay, Michigan, you guys might be on the track for something. These guys might actually be able to get back to the bowl game, do all this stuff. They still got a chance, but, big win over Baylor. And that's when Baylor was struggling, mind you. Now, week 4, Maryland beats them 31-26. And even though Maryland's been a pretty good team this year, their defense is terrible. They've had one of the worst defenses in the entire series so far this year, but they know how to put up points. And Michigan, they're usually pretty good on offense, weren't good enough to beat the Terrapins there. That's a game they should have won, in my opinion. That's a game they should have won. They did win against Iowa, but it's Iowa. And they only won by 4 points, 31-27. So, when you're looking at the picture here, what is going on with Michigan? This is not the season that we expected these guys to have. We knew it was going to be a rough season, but these are games that they should be winning. And the ones that they win, which is this Iowa one, should have been by a bigger margin than this. They were actually down by 14 in that game and came back within the final minutes of the game to win it. So that's pretty bad. Then they play Penn State. Like I said, a good team, but a team they should have beat. You got talent on this team, and it's just not showing. And got to give a shout out to the boy, Chavis. He's out there doing his thing. 2 touchdowns. He threw 1 pick, but look, this guy was productive. 29-36. You see right here on the stat sheet. I got to look over and stuff like that. But 2 touchdowns. That he was doing his thing. Makes some really good throws on the moves. And, he's got some really good help with his running back, Journey Brown. The mix between him and Journey Brown has been really great for these guys this year. And another receiver that doesn't really get a lot of talk, but is a receiver that is solid, is this guy, Whiteman. Even last year, this guy was always finding ways to get yardage and make plays. So, his connection with Chavis has really skyrocketed his, receiving ability throughout the season through the roof. And you can see it on full display. Great job right there. Over 100-yard game again. 114, 8 receptions, a touchdown. And then we get a look here at Briley. Didn't play bad. He threw the ball 53 times, 38 completions, over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 1 pick. So, what more can you ask for? But when you watch the game, that's when you start to realize, stats aren't always going to tell you everything. He didn't play bad. But there was a lot of opportunities still at the same time missed by him on some plays. So it's not all on him, but he is part to blame a little bit. Then you have the run game. What are they doing? 8 carries for J.C. Johnson. J.C. Johnson, hasn't had the best average this season, but 8 carries, you got to feed this man more than this. But you can't really take it all away from him because they found a way to get the ball in his hands. You can see right here, led the team with 11 receptions, 118 yards. But when you're back leading your team in receiving, you really got to be able to keep up with everyone else, and everyone else didn't do a bad job either. But, where was the defense, at times for Michigan? Michigan really had troubles stopping Dorian Chavis, big time situations. And Chavis really took this game home, man. Got to give it to Chavis, got to give it to Brown, got to give it to Penn State. They did what we didn't expect it. Well, at least what I didn't expect them to do. I know Chavis was out there saying, yo, we're going to, we're going to beat Michigan. We're going to put on a show and everything. But he was, earlier within the season, like, yo, we're going to suck this year. But somehow that mentality has worked for him and reversed itself. And now he's confident in the Nittany Lions. And he's out here recruiting, sending about 100 DMs to strangers who don't even know about the league. Hey, join Penn State. He even put it in the YouTube comments. Some guy asked, yo, how do I join this? Dude just came in the DM box talking about, yo, join Penn State. That was his response on the YouTube channel. So, this guy, dedication, man. You got to love it. League first. Let's get hashtag league first in the chat. But we move on to the premier games. So when we look at the premier games, this is where we got a few shockers. We definitely got a few shockers in this past week. This wasn't too much of a shock, but it kind of was at the same time because UCLA got to win. They've been playing good. They've been playing teams pretty good, though. They know how to put up points, but their defense is atrocious. I was just talking about Maryland's defense being one of the worst. UCLA's defense is the worst defense in the league. These guys just cannot cover anything. We've already had 2 receivers break records this season receiving, and DeAndre Campbell when they played Clemson, I think first week, and then they played Connor Jameson at Maryland. He torched them for like $130 something. UCLA's defense is trash. All right. But they still win. So what does this tell you about Iowa? They're the first team to get shut out this season, 35-0 to Florida State. We thought they would beat Florida State. And here they are losing to UCLA 31-24. You know, so man, Iowa's looking pretty bad. I mean, we know they were bad from last year, but you know, when you think about Iowa and the RFL college, you think about Kurt Peterson, you think about Cleon Markham, and you think about that era back in CS2. But it's not that area anymore, buddy. It ain't. And got 2 submitted guys over here, quarterback and running back, with Daniels and Nickel. But look at what Nickel was able to do. He only gave him 8 carries, but 16 yards. You know, UCLA did their thing on the run game. Pass game, you knew they were going to mess up somewhere. Look at Dansby. 7 receptions, 144 yards, a touchdown. And they had another guy over 100 yards. And so, so at the end of the day, Iowa was able to do what they could against this UCLA defense still, put up some production. But shout out to Devin Diggs. Guy had a touchdown, did have 2 picks, but this guy's been very competitive within games, knowing that he's the only reason that they will have a shot to win a game is because of his offensive production. They went 2 in a row. So shout out to UCLA Bruins and Devin Diggs. And that guy Ty Kilgore in the backfield. It's a generic running back. Gave him 32 touches, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm going to give a shout out to Ty the GOAT for the $1 donation, and Amari Harris for the $2 donation. Said, yes, sir, Smitty. We got the twisties. You already know, man. You already know. Out here. Going to get my hair cut tomorrow, though. I'll tell you that. But mainly a shape. I'm not cutting anything off. But, UCLA, second win in a row. Not really too much to say here. Iowa looking bad. UCLA turning things around and letting us know that they got a chance to compete with some teams offensively. That's it, offensively. Defense will play the bell for everybody. For UCLA in this, throughout the series, not necessarily this week. They still did their thing, they won. And we'll play the bell for Iowa for taking a loss to UCLA, which is always just pretty bad based off these last 2 seasons. But they won. All right, so moving on. South Carolina versus Texas A&M. South Carolina's looked pretty good at times. They've looked pretty good. But Texas A&M, we saw these guys give, Miami even a run for their money. This team was actually a pretty solid team last year. I don't think they made any bowl games or anything, but they really gave you comp in CS3. And you really didn't see much of that this season, a little bit more like you saw last year, but they show you, once again, they are a team that can compete. Only their second win of the season. 27-16, they win here over South Carolina. But, South Carolina, too, man, it's rough for these guys. They start out the season, 3 straight conference games. All 3 games got punched on. Start out 0-3, not only in overall record, in the conference. And then here they are taking another loss in the conference. All 4 of their losses, conference losses. So that's tough. And they did win 1 game. So congrats to that. But Bell on, the conference play right now for the Gamecocks. But, at the end of the day, David Mayer came out here, did his thing. And that bull Donnell, look at that, $156 touchdown. Good game for Texas A&M. Not really too much to say here. These 2 teams that we just know most likely not even going to go to a bowl game based off how they've been playing. But good win for the Aggies. Now, Georgia versus Auburn. Georgia's been on, they've been doing their thing. But once again, I'm not hyping this team up yet because they have played nothing but teams that they should beat, like they have been. And honestly, it's hard to say they should have beat Auburn by a sizable margin, because if anybody remembers last year, Auburn, they kind of stuck with Georgia and could have upset them then. So, Auburn's not an easy team to beat. They may be 2-4 right now, but they have definitely played in some close games. I'm trying to go to the schedule here on my end so I can talk about, just how the season is going for Georgia. We already know they opened up the season, got schmacked. I seen guys talking about getting schmacked on Dunn's podcast. We got to bring it out, though, for the Bulldogs. Y'all got schmacked week 1, Oregon, right? 45-17. All right, we just like, whoa, what's going on, Georgia? All right. Then week 2, TCU, look good. These guys look good. right? But they lost, and they fumbled the bag. Zeke Pruitt, we already know he's a freshman quarterback, threw a bad interception towards the end of the game when they could have took the lead. They should have ran it. It was a bad play call, but you don't throw picks out there. You know, you don't throw those in the red zone in crucial moments, and that ended up costing them. TCU ends up winning 31-27. And then I got to move this over here so I don't always keep looking around on one side. But at the end of the day, from that point on, you know, we even with the loss, it looked like Georgia turned some things around. So they start out 0-2. They've won every game since, but this has been their competition. South Carolina, you just saw they lost to Texas A&M, 1-4 in the season. Beat them 38-14. That's expected. Next week, LSU beat them 34-10. Now, LSU might be pretty decent right now record-wise, 4-2 on the year, but LSU isn't all that. You know, we all kind of know that. And they beat them 34-10, like I said, 24-point victory. That's kind of expected for Georgia. You know, nothing to really, you know, gloat about on there. Then they beat Florida State 42-7. Quarterback just this past week, Stern again. I'm going to play him a bell every time I got to mention. 5 picks. 5 picks this past week. You beat them 42-7. Can't give you too much hype there. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, doing what you're supposed to do. Not discredit them, but doing what we expect you to do. Then you play Auburn 26-21. And you almost look like you didn't even want to win the game. It's almost looked like the what's that, Nama Yunus fight when she fought they had that title fight and they were just sitting there scrapping around. Nobody wanted to engage. Like almost like nobody wanted to win the fight, and then she lost by decision. That almost was Georgia, you know. But they won though. They ended up pulling it out. Pruitt got at least 1 touchdown. He ain't throw no picks. And like I said, I'm not going to hold them having this be a close game to Auburn too bad, because like I said, Auburn they could keep kind of close. They could keep kind of close within games. So I'm not holding it against them. But Georgia is 4-2. What did we learn from you know, Auburn? Like I said, pretty much what we've already known for the past couple of seasons. This is a team that can give you some work. They beat Penn State this year too. Penn State could very well right now be 5-1 on the season. Auburn beat them when they were undefeated. So Auburn is not a team to sleep on at all, you know. And so they gave Georgia some run for their money, but Georgia did what we expected them to do. Not going to crush them too much on this, but waiting for them to get to see better talent. We need to see them when they play Bama. They don't really have too much of a tough schedule this year, you know, from here on out. You know, they should have beat Oregon. They should have, you know, beat TCU. Those are teams we expected them to beat if they were to be talked about at a high caliber of this playoff caliber team. And they didn't do that. You know, they didn't do that, and they're not seeing top tier competition yet. So they don't get any accolades or any hype behind them for these wins, but they're handling business. That's all we can say about them in this game. Good win by the Georgia Bulldogs. All right, we move on. Arizona State, they come back. This was a team, their first win was against Baylor, you know? First one was against Baylor. And at that point, I was like, whoa, offense looked good even in the other losses. And so, okay, you know, Arizona State might have a little something, but they start losing games. And it gets really bad. They play Stanford. Stanford hasn't looked too bad either. You know, they really haven't looked too bad. They had Grayson LeCavalier is the entire offense here. It is the entire offense. I think somebody had, just so I don't go over this, shout out to Ty the Goat again for $2 donation. Says, Smitty with dreads kills the game. Words from time. Now I ain't about to get no dreads, man. He's just little twisties, man. He's definitely coming out tomorrow. But yeah, so Arizona State offense comes out, guns blazing, 38 points on the board. And my man's doing the opposite of Will Stern. 5 touchdowns, no picks. How about that? And so Danny Montgomery, he throws 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns. Grayson LeCavalier, again, if he's not going to have 100 yards on the ground, he's going to have 100 yards through the air. And he caught a touchdown there. Didn't get one on the ground. Still, 3 straight weeks, this running back has had over 100 receiving. That's over 300 yards in 3 weeks as a running back catching the football. So that goes to show you what caliber of a receiving back that this guy is. I mean, he's really showing his capabilities. He needs to get more mention. He needs to be talked about and his ability. You know, guys will not talk much about Stanford due to the fact that this team is buns. I mean, they're 2-4, you know, but at the end of the day, he's carrying this team to do what they've been able to do, you know, 2-4, and he's won those 2 games for them. So shout out to Grayson LeCavalier. You know, even though guys, you know, would say second chance you players, you know, hey, it was legal at the time. And, you know, second chance, baby. Your boy out here doing his thing. Cavalier brothers looking pretty solid. Pretty solid. But shout out to Arizona State once again. And not only Avery Jefferson, even though he killed the game with the 5 touchdowns, no picks. How about Rashad Boston? This kid has been looking really good out the backfield. Not sure if anybody's been paying attention to him. Rashad Hale, another. I'm not even sure if he's a sleeper. He is a sleeper because I don't feel like a lot of people are paying attention to how good this receiver is. I think he is the highest overall rated wide receiver in the league on top of that. So, yeah, that says a lot. You know, and he's actually producing that on the field. 10 catches, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. And, you know, we guys can talk about, well, look who he's doing it against. But, yeah, look at who he's doing it against throughout his collegiate career. This is his second year here. Last year, he was lighting up some defenses as well. So he's doing his thing. Arizona State doing their thing. They finally get back in the win column. Good for them. Let's see if this trend continues. Good win. All right. Shock. Bell. West Virginia. What is going on? West Virginia. What is going on? Another bell. What happened? LSU. Y'all come into Baton Rouge thinking it was sweet. Y'all boys thought it was sweet. Y'all thought it was going to be light day in the park. Y'all was going to have the tiger on the leash. You know what I mean? Climb the mountain with him. Throw him right off it. Game over. Nah. Lion came up there in that mountain. Ate y'all Mountaineers up. And it's over. You guys are 3-3 on the season now. Play a bell. What is going on? Mountaineers. 16 points. 16 points against LSU. Now, I will not all the way fault that because there are 2 things I got to mention when I talk about why West Virginia scored 2 points. I said 2 points. Might as well. It felt like it. Felt like he scored 2 points because he only scored 1 touchdown in this game. This is the only reason why they scored 16 points. 1, if anybody's been paying attention to West Virginia, these guys have been very inconsistent offensively. Even though you're seeing the bombs, yeah, you see Trey Drain, you guys say, they have entered a lot of moments throughout the season where they have stalled out and they're just sitting there conservative. And some of this I put on Gaddy. He just sitting there with the ball statued up, you know, and he's not throwing the ball away. And yes, it happens to a couple of quarterbacks, but it happens a fairly decent amount of time for this kid, you know, and he's looked great this season statistically. He has. I'm not saying he's not looking good this year. He's still looking good this year. But those moments kill him. And in these moments, in games like this, you got to show up. And number 2 on why they scored 16 points. The defense of LSU is nothing to laugh at. I'm telling y'all this right now. The defense of LSU is nothing to laugh at. This team can hang with some offenses. Now, I know Washington probably over there laughing since they beat these boys 35-12 and they couldn't score. Yeah. But Washington's got some pretty good firepower. But sometimes you don't have a game where you stand up, you play up to your standards. I know just from looking at on the paper. I know paper ain't going to tell you everything, but they have the players and the potential to shut down an offense. What they do had the Mountaineers out here kicking field goals. 3 field goals, 9 points. They ain't scored no offensive touchdowns until the 4th. Straight kicks, 9 points. LSU going up, and they win the game here. I want to give a shout out to Simino too. And I really do want to ask you if you're somewhere in the chat, did you spell your name Simino because of Joe Burrow in the jersey? I think Bill mentioned that as well. And I'm just like, you know, it does make sense. I wanted to go ahead and ask that. But, you know, he's been actually pulling out some pretty good games. He's been pulling, like, the statistics ain't going to wow you. This is why I tell people, don't just pay attention to the stats. You want to pay attention to the stats, but don't just pay attention to the stats. Look at how the player is playing, how they're producing those stats, who they're producing those stats against. Simino, even though, look, I'm giving you praise for these last 2 weeks, But the other weeks before that, you looking pretty bad. You weren't looking like Joe Burr out there at all. But at the end of the day, these last 2 weeks, and you get an upset over West Virginia, that's solid. That's a solid win right there. And this kid, Emory Jr., I think that's a real life player. Nice. They could not stop this kid. He's the one that won the game. They had a chance. They needed to stop. Couldn't stop the kid. Running all over. And so that's tough. Got to play the bell for my man Jordan Duke. Didn't get a lot of carries, but I can see why. I mean, you got over double digits in carries, 11 of them. And you only got 15 yards. So, yeah, that was, man, they got to play the bell again because that's pretty bad. It's getting almost there. Kai Cassius, when the guy had 11 carries, but he had 0. You got 15. You weren't that bad, but you're around the ballpark. But you had the Garmo, this kid's, had that one touchdown over the top. And that's when they came back and tied it up 16-16. And then, of course, lost, fumbled the bag. You got to put it on Simino, putting the game away. So shout out to Simino. Shout out to LSU Tigers. And once again, been giving out bells all day. Let's give another bell out. Mountaineers, take this L. This is sad. You might be almost out of playoff contentions already. It's 3 losses. Another one, I think that's it for sure. So, and you haven't even played Baylor yet. You haven't even played TCU yet. You haven't played these conference games yet. And you're losing to LSU. Another bell. So we hope Mountaineers, you were expecting more out of you. Hopefully you start to flip the season around. And you guys going to have to come up big in those games, man. Because the LSU Tigers might just ended it for you. But, shout out to LSU once again. Big win. TCU versus Oklahoma State. Now, see, this is another reason why I didn't necessarily push or even agree upon the fact of putting TCU at number 1. I know some guys will say, but they playing better than Miami. They blowing teams out. Are they really blowing teams out, though? They put up some points, but let me go ahead and recap these last couple of games here for you guys, just so you're paying attention. See, I don't get to really go in depth and speak my mind all the way when I got, Bill and Rob on here, because I like them to go out and give out, their pace. But when you got the one-on-one Smitty on here, I'm going to give you the real. You might be salty about some of the things I say about your team, but I'm going to keep it 100. If you play, if you're not balling, you ain't balling. And I'm not saying TCU ain't balling, but these last couple of weeks, man, they ain't balling like they supposed to. Okay, so let's go look at this. It all started 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, when they had to play Wisconsin. Now, I know some janky stuff going on in there, right? Had to restart the game. You looked like you was about to put up 60 on them. Bill didn't want to believe it. But, at the end of the day, y'all were about to steamroll them boys. Had to replay the game, and the Badgers took y'all to the ringer. You're like, oh, snap. Shark got hurt, and we ain't balling. We ain't scoring. We ain't doing what we supposed to do. And Wisconsin is about to beat us. Shark came back in the game, told them, hold my beer. And, got the rest was history. 2 touchdown streakers. Game over. Had your boy in the booth, losing his voice cracking. Sharkly, all that, But at the end of the day, y'all won by 3 points in that game against Wisconsin. Good team. But from all the talk about TCU, you guys are supposed to be blowing them boys out. Wisconsin shouldn't stand a chance, right? So that's where I think it all started. Because look at the weeks prior. Auburn trashed them, 34-10. We already know what happened. First pass for Miles McCain as a Horned Frog. Touchdown, right? To the boy Hyde. Then all she wrote, trashed him. In a sense, should have lost to Georgia, but they still played good. We knew that was going to be a good game. We knew that was going to be close and competitive if Georgia was able to bounce back and wake up from what we saw in the first week. They did that, right? But they still found a way to win. TCU playing at a high level. Then Louisville. This is I could almost throw Louisville in there. The only reason I didn't throw Louisville in it where it started was because they ended up beating them at the end of it by 21. It was 34-13, right? But if anybody remembers when this game was going on, Louisville was up on these boys for a minute. TCU couldn't score, had nothing going. They finally got in the rhythm in the second half, And then they ran it up on them boys, 34-13. I think that's where it kind of in a sense started. Then we already recapped Wisconsin. Then we got Tennessee just a few weeks ago, right? Tyon, we know he's a solid quarterback. But once again, this is Tennessee. I'm expecting TCU to throw up 30, 40, 50 points up on this defense. Y'all got, these corners got 80-something speed. One of the slowest defensive backcourts and secondaries in the college series Tennessee has. And y'all only put up 24 points in that game. That kind of had me a little bit concerned. I felt like y'all should have been able to put up more points in that game. Once again, this is kind of 3 straight weeks now where the offense, they coming out, right? But they are also, just like West Virginia, as I mentioned earlier, showing some stagnant moments. This is supposed to be one of the most explosive offenses, and I still believe it's the most explosive offense in college football in the college series. But you can't be coming out here inconsistent, because this is how you can end up losing some games. Did end up beating Tennessee, but by 8, 24-16. And then we come here, Oklahoma State. Now, we can't sleep on OSU. Well, we ain't going to call them OSU because they ain't balling like OSU. But I can't even say that this week because we already know what happened at OSU. We'll play a bell for that early. But Oak State, only 3 points. Defense, there was TCU defense balling. You right? But 22 points. And it wasn't like it was a, the 22 points was a little, it wasn't spectacular. It was just, they had to really grind to get those too. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy throughout the game. Once again, a game I felt TCU should have put up more points. Oak State did go up 21-0 on Baylor. We all talk. I see some guys in the chat talking about that now. They did do that. But then they put up a 53-piece on them boys, outscored them 53-7. That's Baylor. I'm expecting TCU to do the same thing, right? You are on the road, but I'm still expecting TCU to do the same thing. Not a bad game. But McCain only 1 touchdown pass against Oak State. All right, didn't even break 300. And it's not, like I said, not a bad game, but expecting more. Not a single receiver of the top 2 of Sharkley and Amari, which are shown here in this picture, had over 100 yards. Amari was close. He's the only one that was able to score. But once again, offense showing that it can be stagnant at times and inconsistent for about the last 3 to 4 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks, all the way back in week 3 that I mentioned. Wanted to go ahead and break it down. Like I said, it's me out here solo. I'm going to break it down. We going all the way back to week 1. Week 1 and 2 solid. Week 3 and 4, TCU doing your thing, but this is why you number 2. This is why you Luigi and not Mario. So, yeah, that's all I can say about that, but still a good win. Still a good win. Looking good. First bowl eligible team in the RFL College Series. That's great. Great news. So shout out to TCU for that. 6-0. Oklahoma State 1-5. All right. We got Louisville and Clemson. A lot of points scored here. You can't sleep on Louisville, I don't think, this year. I mean, they're 1-5, so maybe you can sleep on them. Record's pretty bad. But no, you really can't. You can't sleep on this team because Marcus Paul is the truth. Benny Sinclair, he's pretty okay at quarterback too. And they got a really good generic wide receiver in Emmanuel Vick, who led the team right there, 9 receptions, 99 yards, and a touchdown. As a receiver, they actually had their tight end have over 100 yards in this game, but he didn't score, so that's why he's not on the stat sheet. But hey, let's give a shout out to that boy Flame Campbell, man. 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 receptions at the receiver position. 11 receptions. When a receiver in sim, in the RFL or in sim in general, gets 10 or more catches, that is a great thing. And you can say, oh, he was wide open, whatever. That's still 10, 11 catches. That's a lot of catches. That's a lot of time that you're getting open, making plays. And he's one of those guys, he's been around for years. You got to hear, usually we roast guys who, talk the big game before they go ahead and play. And they don't back it up usually. But Campbell backing it up, man. He did his thing in this game. Shout out to Cardenas, no picks. Over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. looking solid. Kind of expecting them to do this, because Clemson has turned a new leaf. They're not looking anything like they did last year, and that's great. That's great because Clemson, first ever national championship team in the RFL College Series, even though they only had Ray on the team back then in CS1. Season 2, made the playoffs. Lost in the first round. I forgot who beat them in CS2. I think it was Georgia. It was Georgia or Alabama, one of them. But I think it was Georgia. I think Georgia beat Clemson, and they lost then. But 2 back-to-back playoff runs. Last year, we don't know what happened. Cinco Cardenas came in there, looked pretty bad. Very inconsistent. And this was one of the highest overall rated teams in the series at the time. Then we fast forward here. Offense looking much better. Sitting at 3-3. Not expecting these guys to make a playoff run, but they could. Potentially. They can't lose any more games. But they hang up a 50-piece on Louisville. That's solid. That's very solid. Shout out to Noah Walker. Almost had 200 on that ground. Just over $180, 181. 3 touchdowns. Look at that. 3 touchdowns by a quarterback, 3 touchdowns by the running back, and two of those 3 touchdowns DeAndre Campbell had through the air. Clemson's looking pretty good. They even gave Miami a run for the money. That's the team that I think is going to be in the conference championship for the ACC. I really do think we're going to see a rematch. Can't wait for that. We'll see how it all goes. But right now, currently, Clemson, even though they beat North Carolina, they are under North Carolina in terms of wins. North Carolina's 4-2. They're 3-3. Clemson's got to start getting it together and hoping they drop something because they did beat them. That's their tiebreaker, but they got to match them in record or do better if they want to see, Miami in the conference championship game. Not really too much I can say here. Not going to give no bell to Louisville. They played good. They did what they could. Clemson just obviously the better team. Walked out victorious. So good game. But Clemson, shout out to you guys. Good win. Oh, let's play the bell now. Like I said, this is the real OSU. But they weren't the real OSU this night. No touchdowns. Another bell. No touchdowns. 0 touchdowns for the Buckeyes, man. All field goals. You had your boy, what's his name? Habil out there kicking. I don't even know if that's his name. It don't matter what his name is. He wore his leg out for nothing. Still didn't win the game. And Monty Wyatt, he was looking inconsistent in that game, No touchdowns for him. Obviously, no touchdowns at all. Your Wimbush, you look. That's another thing. I played the bell a little bit for, not a little bit. I played a lot of bit for Ohio State too. Definitely should have mixed in the run game. I don't know why they stopped giving Euro Wimbush the ball. He was going off with his opportunities, and they just stopped giving it to him. And they couldn't really get it going in the pass game. They thought they was going to be able to do that against Oregon. Oregon, like I've been saying even since last year, they have a pretty good defense. They have a pretty good team that can cover. You got Lenore, and I know there's another cornerback out there. I think his name is Michael Wright or something like that. And they're both 90s, pretty solid in coverage. So, they locked up pretty good. Top receiver was Pecan. 47 yards, 4 catches. That's their top receiver. That's pretty bad. This Ohio State we talk about. National champions of CS3. And the Ducks. Shout out to the Ducks, man. Shout out to the mighty Ducks, man. Donald Duck came out here and handled business right on Ronnie Shanahan. Look at this. 339 yards against this Ohio State secondary. And I'm going to say this right now. I'm not going to play a bell because he's still balling. But I will say this right now. Did y'all peep how Ronnie Shanahan said, I don't care how good y'all think Joel Howard is. I'm dotting him. He was hitting that boy. Their top receiver, Brunk. He won the game for him. Game-winning touchdown. 11 receptions, just like DeAndre Campbell. 111 yards and 1 touchdown. 9 to 8 of those catches were on the boy Howard. And I'm not going to bell Howard. You want to know why? Because he was actually in good position. He was there. You couldn't ask for better coverage. But Shanahan still tried him, and he dotted him up. Nothing, no shade on Howard at all. But the accuracy was so good that even Howard couldn't make a play on the ball when he was there. So Ronnie Shanahan, even though you only had one touchdown this game, you had some big moments. You had some big throws. You weren't afraid of this Ohio State defense, considered to be 1A, 1B with Miami. And I still agree with that. I do think that Ohio State's got themselves a really good solid defense, because when you look at this, both of these teams had 12 points. It was nothing but field goals, field goal fest the entire game all the way to the end of regulation. The game was won in OT. And then the defense was so fatigued, so tired of being out there on the field. When they got in the OT, Ducks just came down there, gave him brunk, and he dunked on them boys for the game winner. And 18-12, final score. Carr was running well. You can see there over 100 yards. It's a great game by the Ducks, man. Way to seal it and not give Monty and those boys an opportunity in OT at all. I know you guys wish it was probably college football overtime rules for the Buckeye fans, but unfortunately that's not the case. And you guys got to hold that L. You got to hold this bell. Number 1 team, not undefeated no more. That's tough. Dropping down to number 5 in the nation, as we saw there. But, Ohio State, they're a really good team. So I'm pretty sure they'll be able to bounce back. But one more thing I got to say about Oregon. Hey, they beat Georgia, and they just beat the number 1 team in the country. Did lose and got spanked by Calvin Poole, but at the end of the day, that's 2 big wins for the Ducks. Not a team to sleep on. Not a team to sleep on. That loss to USC still proves that loss to USC and then this one here, because USC couldn't beat Ohio State this year. They did at least beat Ohio State. And, the first meeting with Calvin Poole there, but last 2 games they lost. Shanahan, Ducks able to get the dub. So that's just how crazy this series has been, man. That's how crazy it's been. Anybody can win any given Saturday or whatever day, we play on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whichever one of those days. You never know how it's going to turn out, man. Been a very entertaining college series. Now, this game, people was giving me flack about why was this a primetime game? You see why it was a primetime game. This game was awesome. 34-31 went to OT, and the boy Uchiha, the lost brother of Sasuke, got the game done. Got it done, man. 4 touchdown passes, threw that 1 pick, but 4 touchdown passes, got it done like he's supposed to. This guy Bradley Landry, excuse me real quick. I had to mute my mic for that cough. But Bradley Landry running the football good, 33 carries, 125 yards. Didn't see the end zone, but he continues to rip up 100+ yards against any opponent. Generic running back, handling business. Corvette, 10 receptions. Once again, when you see 10 receptions for a wide receiver in Sim, that boy is balling, right? Corvette was out here speeding, going 120, 420, and 2 touchdowns. And Florida, they still put up a pretty good fight. The boy Booker looked pretty good. I really liked throughout this game the battle between Booker and Chico Canetti. Chico Canetti, I still feel in a sense just notched him because there was a lot more plays in which he made on him. But it's almost even though, because Booker did handle do his business, but like at the time he was really breaking off of other defenders and couldn't really all the time get by Canetti. So I'd give it about even, but still just a slight favor to Chico Canetti in that battle. That's a great linebacker, running back competition game you wanted to watch there. And yeah, Uchiha gets the win, man. Second win of the season for the Wisconsin Badgers. And I got to play the bell just for Florida on how they've been playing this year, man. 1-5. Did not expect this at all. And before I move on to the next game, let's go ahead and just look at those games just to see what games they should have won. Let me, you guys can't see this, but of course I'm looking behind the scenes just to break down their season. Why are they 1-5? All right, first game of the season, 42-9 to Baylor. You expected that to be the case, but a 42-9 blowout, that's pretty bad. I'm gonna give them a bell for 5 weeks ago. Still gonna give them the bell. That was a bad beating. Then they played Penn State, and although Penn State's looking pretty good right now, that's a game based off of the talent they had and what they were able to do last year that they should have won, and they didn't. So we'll play the bell again. Should have won that game. Had the lead over Alabama. Then homeboy Jones, quote unquote highest overall quarterback in the series, throws a pick 6 to who? Tyler Cage. Bama takes it to the crib. They win the game 28-24. Bell them again. Game that weren't expected to win, but should have won. You had the lead, and you fumbled the bag. Florida then plays Tennessee. Tennessee was hot. They were rolling, right? But y'all need to beat Tennessee. Florida, even if you don't beat Tennessee, make it close. They lose 34-10. Granted, Tyon and them boys is looking great, but still, 34-10 to Tennessee, Florida. Play another bell. Another game in which they should have won. Then they pull up playing the way we expected them to play all season against Washington, who was doing really good, And then they really kind of, I wouldn't say all the way dog walked them, but they handled them. They handled them in convincing fashion and beat the Huskies 31-17 here. At that point, I'm like, okay, Florida's coming back. And that's the reason why I put them in this slot, because we are looking at the emergence potentially of Florida coming back and getting their season on track. And of course, this season with Uchiha at Wisconsin boosting up their play with a team that was so bad, Bill hates to say it, but a Wisconsin team has been so bad in the college series that they had to get John Madden out the grave to coach on the sidelines. And I'm not capping about that. You can look in the game. They got John Madden literally coaching this team, and he couldn't even get a win for these boys till about week 3. So I played the bell for that. But at the end of the day, Wisconsin wins. Wisconsin wins. Too bad you weren't on the podcast, Bill. Can't defend the Badgers here. But you don't have to. Got the dub. 2-4. Congratulations. Right? 3rd season with 2 wins. Hopefully you can get more than that. But yeah, so we'll move on. Now, I'm going to play the bell here for Maryland. Number 7 team in the country. But, boy, them boys got waxed. 49-24. But am I surprised? Nah, not really. You want to know why I'm not? You want to know why I'm not? You want to know why I'm not? The defense. The defense. You let the bull, Pat Miller, throw 6 touchdown passes. You let the bull, Pat Miller, throw 6 touchdown passes. That's the most this season. You let Pat Miller do that. Now I'm not saying this like Pat is trash. He's pretty decent. On a team that got gutted last year, that had everybody just about in the world playing on the team, and they all dipped on him. Pat out there solo dolo on his Daniel Severio, this season. And y'all let him throw 6 touchdown passes though. That's crazy. Maryland, what you doing? Let's play the bell. What's up with the secondary, man? What's up with the team? What's up with the defense, man? What's going on? 131 yards, 5 catches, a touchdown. Connor Jameson. And I'm going to play the bell for myself because I shouldn't have never watched Mitchie's podcast. But I watch everything RFL related. Because he couldn't spell Jameson right. And apparently that rubbed off on me. And I'm putting E's in Jameson's name on the graphic here. So I'll play the bell. I'll play the bell again on myself. He caught me lacking too. He hit me up with the message on Instagram when I posted this. But at the end of the day, Jameson had a solid game. Offense was still doing what it usually does, but there was one factor that was lackluster that's usually good for this team, which is obvious somebody lost. Chip Taylor been having a pretty good solid season, right? At least been looking good. Statistically looks okay, and everything. But 18 for 29. A lot of missed opportunities, some bad decisions. At least had more touchdowns and picks. But, at the end of the day, the quarterback play wasn't there like it usually is for him and the Terrapins. And, of course, you had Kareem Parker. This kid only had 13 carries, man, and 182 yards. Tied the record for the longest touchdown run in RFL history, which was broken by a Notre Dame Fighting Irish, I believe, a few seasons ago. I know it was the running back. I can't remember his name. Mitch, if you're in here, you know what I'm talking about. But who was it? No, let me not even waste time trying to think about who that is. But Mitchell put it in the comments or somebody. But yeah, 99-yard touchdown rush by Kareem Parker. This kid continues to look amazing. Continues to look amazing. Really good freshman running back to come out in this class. So shout out to Parker and doing his thing. Shout out to Devin Barnes, this generic running back. They gave him the rock 36 times, a lot of touches, but he had almost 200 on them boys. Doing damage. But once again, this is Maryland's defense. That's all I can say. So tough loss for Maryland. They were all the way up to number 7. Now all the way down to 13. Yeah, there it is. Kyle Fenimore. That's who it is. I think he's on the Red Dragons now. But yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's all I can say about that. Game of the week. Red River Rivalry don't disappoint. It has not disappointed in the RFL College Series for 2 years in both CS3 and, of course, now CS4. Real life, this game was lit. And in the College Series, this game was lit. This came all the way down to a good old-fashioned shootout. Nobody playing defense. But I can't even always say that. There were some good defensive plays in this game. There were definitely some good defensive plays in this game. It was just a great game. High score. Might be up there with one of the most entertaining games to watch this season. But how about how Texas came out with Tip Soto burning OU's defense? What were they doing? These guys kept going in man. Tip Soto had like 5 catches for 230-something yards. But they was 38. And 3 touchdowns in the first half. Getting cooked. After the second touchdown, you shouldn't even have had man-to-man, one-on-one, nothing with Tip Soto at that point. Tip Soto has looked amazing this year. He was great even last year. I don't know if anybody even paid attention to that. But this kid was great even last year, and he was a third option. He was a slot guy. He was not number 1. It's not number 2 at Notre Dame. Number 2, Notre Dame had their little debacle going on, the whole breakdown. Everybody transferred out. Where you go? Here, Texas with Cameron Shule. Now he gets the option, the opportunity to be one of the go-to guys. Breadwinner for the offense here, that receiver. And boys, he bringing home the bread. This kid finishes the game, 8 receptions, breaks the record for the most receptions in a single game. And I wish I had time to create a graphic for you because I would have did it like I did Justin Krill and everything last year. But like I said, didn't have the time. But 3 touchdowns he still had all in that first half. Guy honestly could have had 4. Granger, even though he played good in this game, he did miss Tip Soto on one of those passes where he could have probably took it to the crib as well. Probably could have had 5. That's how good the guy was playing. Like, there was a couple opportunities. There's one he caught over the top, and he got caught because he could have took that to the crib, but he got tackled. So he realistically could have had 5 touchdowns in this game. That's how crazy he was going. And this ain't just no fluke defense. And I know OU's defense hasn't been all too good. It hasn't been too consistent throughout this, the college series last couple of seasons, but it still is a pretty good defense. It's not a defense that you just think you're going to put 48 up on. Tip Soto came out here, did his thing, man. Shout out to Tip Soto, man. Shout out to Tip Soto. Record-breaking game. And shout out to Jordan Granger. 5 touchdown passes. Had the 2 picks, but almost 500 yards here with 473. You can see right there, 24 of 30. He didn't even throw the ball much. The decisions he was making, the accuracy and the plays that were being made were just colossal every time he threw the football and found a receiver. So all around, shout out to Texas and how they played. Oklahoma got to get some love too. They gave Brewer the ball. Would like to see him get 20 or more, but they got close, 98 yards. Got to see in the end zone. And a big shout out to Allen Mourning because a lot of guys are talking about how his draft stock has hit rock bottom. And this guy is just terrible now and all this. But I don't know if anybody has paid attention to the fact that Oklahoma has played the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, and the number 5 team in the nation in 5 weeks. So 4 out of 5 weeks, they have played the top 5 ranked teams in the nation. Honestly, at this point, I have to say for the first half of the season, Oklahoma has had the toughest schedule out of anyone in the RFL College Series, including Michigan. Michigan got an all-around, all the way through tough schedule. But this first half of the series, they have played top 5 teams 4 out of 5 weeks, which is just crazy. You may be looking at like, oh, they 2 and 3 but guess what? Not a lot of teams doing that. Not a lot of teams still, and they beat West Virginia too. And I know that's probably like everybody like, oh, they ain't nothing now. They lost to LSU, but West Virginia beat some pretty decent teams this year as well, right? So Oklahoma, we know that they can hang. Texas now, we know that they can hang. But Oklahoma almost beat them. 500 plus passing yards in this game for Allen Moore. 3 touchdowns. Had the 1 pick. Yeah, he's got 10 interceptions compared to his 5 touchdowns on the season. But I think things are really going to start to flip now that he's not going to have to play that top tier talent throughout the rest of this season every week. Now, he's still got some Big 12 opponents to play throughout this year, which is going to be tough. But he already, like I said, knocked down one of the powerhouses usually in the college series in West Virginia. So, Allen Moore, look for him to start to emerge and get back. Really look for him to do that. Let's give a shout out to Michael Smoot Jr., man. Like this kid, man, because, you know, he's definitely been getting roasted for being the number 1 receiver. And I think this is like his first 100-yard receiving game or his second or something like that. Other times, guy had like less than 50 yards. It's pretty bad, but, you know, at the same time, once again, look at who they were playing. Great teams. And Allen Moore struggled. So, can you really pin all of that on Smith? Even though Bird was still taking off at times, he wasn't always either. No, you can't. You know, look at the big picture on prospects. That's my biggest word of advice to coaches and people who tune in and watch the RFL College Series. Got to pay attention to the entire pictures. Stats are not going to tell you everything. Now, stats may help you more than likely with offensive linemen, because for me personally, I can't really do too much studying with them, but I could do enough based off statistics and what I've been able to see at times, not everything, on where they should be ranked. So when you're looking at every other position, that's how you look for potential studs and gems. You look at the situation. Why are they this low? Why are they this high? Even the guys who got the best statistics don't think they're the best guys. Don't always think they're the best guys, because it matters about who they're playing, how they're getting these statistics, and everything else. So that's my big word of advice. But yeah, great game. Texas is 5-1 on the season. Texas honestly should be 6-0 because the game they lost, they were expected to win and should have won. They took a very embarrassing loss to Penn State, 34-17. But that's just how good Texas has been this year. 1 game away from being bowl eligible. And honestly should be about, you know, if it wasn't for that loss, should be undefeated right now. And they have beaten pretty reputable teams. So shout out to Texas on the season they're having right now. Texas is back in the college series. But big win there. They're 5-1. Oklahoma 2-3. And the final game of the week to recap. Washington was looking for this game all season. And I said this was the game, since Washington had this cupcake schedule, that they needed to show up in and prove that they have good talent, that they can compete with top-end schools, right? No bell's going to be played here, right? Because even though they lost, they put up a good fight. Honestly, could have tied this game up. But I will give a bell to Javier Santana. And the reason why I'm going to give you a bell is because I told you, at some point, that 5'9" going to pull up. And that 5'9" pulled up at that goal line for that 2-point conversion. And he was saying, and this is what he said in the VC. He said the release points are the same. No, they are not, sir. Even if you are smaller, when you release the ball, the height of which your hand is at, that's where the ball releases. If you look at the play, it was good pressure sent in there by USC. Yeah. But it still was a play that if you were just slightly taller, you could have probably been able to complete. Because what happened is you got the ball off. if you look at it, ball was going where it was supposed to. He hit you almost immediately after it got off, but you got it off. And what does it do? Bounces right off my man's head. Hit the lineman right in the back of the head. And the ball bounced up. Still was a chance to catch it. But at that time, when that ball's in the air like that, and you got all that time, it's not easy. It feels like forever, an eternity for that ball to drop. And Irvin had to try to come back, catch the ball. Boom, got hit. Couldn't catch it. Even when he caught it, I think he was out of the end zone by the time he even got to the ball. So, yeah, got to play the bell. Got to play the bell. Got to play the bell there. I want to see what people are saying, because I want to see if anybody's trying to actually say that the height was not the reason for that. Because that was one of the, I'm not going to say height is always a factor, but that was definitely height on that play. That was definitely due to the fact of him being 5'9", and I had to point that out. But he played a great game. Nothing else against him but the 5'9" strut. And just had to play that last bell right there. But back to the game. Great all-around game. You know, Calvin Poole doing Calvin Poole things. And this is another thing. Let's talk about Poole, right? Some guys talking about he fell off. Everybody talking about the statistics. Once again, statistics will not prove everything. Even looking at last season, even though he was unselfish last year and still posted record numbers, right? He does this. He doesn't have to put up 300. He doesn't have to put up 400. He doesn't have to be, even though most of the time he is high in accuracy, you don't have to be 85 or 90%. He doesn't need to throw 3 touchdowns. He doesn't need to throw 4 touchdowns. This guy can throw 1 touchdown. But them 25 other passes that he completed after 34 were crucial to maintain and win the game. Look at that game and tell me that Calvin Poole was not ripping these dudes up. It may not have been the big play, even though some of them were some great plays on the throw. He still was able to be a field general and lead the team down the field for his running back to score. Unselfish. That's his play style. That is his play style. And that's what's going on with him statistically this season. And it's not even all that bad. But of course, he's not in the top ranks and everything. But this is also spells the emergence of Levi Dixon. Even though he's already been mentioned as a top back already in the RFL College Series, one of the top backs, he is killing it. He's got 10 rushing touchdowns on the season already. 10. 2 he had in this game, 3 the week before. And when you look at the game, you look at it statistically with Calvin Poole. Once again, Calvin Poole gets him down there. He might throw a touchdown pass in there, but when they get in that red zone, when it's time to score, when it's time to punch a touchdown in, they call in 3. And number 3 is about to double that digit and put up 6 and run it up. And that's what he did. The run game and the pass game is so balanced with this USC team that is what makes this team difficult to beat. The defense of USC, solid. Solid. I'm not going to give them an elite status just yet because they do have some flaws. And Javier Santana definitely exposed that at some extent. Nice little deep pass on a wheel route on the right side of the field. Wide open Tyreek Fitz. Shout out to Tyreek Fitz, by the way, too. He had himself a really good game in there. Really like how he played. You see him on the stat sheet here. Led all receivers. Haskins was doing good with the opportunities he had. Didn't have a 4 yard per carry average. But once again, don't just look at stats. How did he get the stats? Did he get the necessary yards? Yes, he did. You know, they needed to run him in between the tackles, make it easier to move the chains. And, you know, it was an all-around great game. It was a great game. Literally came down to Javier being 5'9", man. Like, really, if he was taller, I think that pass goes over his head and is completed, you know? And it's still not a knock on his play, on that play, because he made the right read. Just wasn't able to be tall enough to get on the ride. And so they took the L. But a 2-point game, not bad. Not bad. Washington, you guys showed up 3-3 on the season. But It's a good looking 3-3 right now for you guys, even though, like I said, weaker competition, but you put up a good fight against USC. You guys still have to play Oregon. You still got another great game. And now that they beat Ohio State, that is the next game that you guys need to show up in to prove something. Maybe you guys can win. Maybe you guys can win. So, hey, shout out to the Washington boys. Shout out to, of course, the USC boys, Daniel Severio and those guys, and Kai-Shawn Williams, Glenn Sharp, and big win. So that is it for the recap of Week 6. A wild Week 6 with your boy Smitty here, man. Just realized that took me an hour and about 15 minutes to do, but I enjoyed every minute of it, man. And like I said, I'm turning up solo dolo here tonight, giving you guys all the real, my analysis on everything. And this is how I'm evaluating and breaking down these teams. You guys already seen the top 25, but just in case for those who just checked in that did not see what the top 25 was, I'm going to reiterate it. Number 1, Miami. Number 2, TCU. 3, USC. 4, Texas. 5, Ohio State dropping after the loss. 6, Alabama. 7, Oregon. 8, Georgia. 9, UNC. 10, Penn State moving up 5 spots. 11, LSU. 12, Baylor. 13, Maryland, dropped from 7. 14, Tennessee. They're still the same. West Virginia, dropping pretty bad after a loss to LSU. 16, 3 spots lost there for Washington at 16. 17, Clemson. I think they were 18, moved up 1. Notre Dame, 18. I think they were 20. 19, OU. I think they dropped back from 17. Michigan, 20. And they honestly, I know some guys probably saying, like, how are they even in the top 20? I mean, they 2-4 right now in certain losses, but they still, like I said, got a tough schedule. Lost to some teams they should have beat, yeah, but those teams are actually playing pretty good too. So I still think they could compete with really good teams. Wisconsin, 21. Auburn, 22. Arizona State, 23. Stanford, 24. And Texas A&M, 25. That is your top 25 official RFL top 25 power rankings. Shout out to Dunn and them boys. But yeah, TCU not number 1. Still got a lot to prove. We'll see how the season goes. And before we hop into everything else, let's go ahead and because there's still some topics in which I got to cover only within the first hour we got here, guys. So here we go. Hopefully, does this show up? No, it's not. All right, so let me window, let me see. Yeah. All right, here we go. There we go. Guys should be able to see this. I got the comments over here. All right. I'm trying to move this into place where I can see it as well. All right, cool. So let's see what's going on in the conferences, man, right? So we look at the SEC, and Alabama's number 1 in the SEC. Now, once again, these aren't all the way in order because, they don't factor in a couple things in which I factor for the top 25. So you might see some same record teams, but, the placement might not be accurate. But this right here is accurate. Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Georgia. We expected this was going to happen at some point. SECs look pretty weak. LSU is shocked us. Tennessee is actually shocked us. But with the suspension that has come down upon the Volunteers with Tyon, we're expecting that to taper off. Auburn, like I said, solid team. But once again, beatable. Very beatable. Texas A&M, South Carolina, and Florida looking really bad. So that is the division standings. I mean, the conference standings right now within the SEC. All right, looking in the ACC, Miami undefeated, 5-0. Got North Carolina 4-2. They're at 2, even though they lost to Clemson. They still are a game up over them. So they're second in the ACC. This is why I say Clemson's going to have to keep up with these boys and hope that they drop some games. UNC and Miami, they play this week. So that's going to be the one to watch. Seeing Q out here yelling Miami K and Lido, North Carolina K and all that. But yeah, not going to elaborate with all that. I mean, it's not that serious, but like I'm just not going to say all that what that means because you guys already know Now I'm gonna say Chief Keef, but you know the people who's associated with all that. But yeah, ACC top. This is out there for Clemson, North Carolina, Miami. I really feel like they're the front runners for this conference. But yeah, Clemson's got to keep up. North Carolina on top of that 4-2. Notre Dame's in the mix. Just had a big win over Maryland, 3-3 with Clemson. But realistically, Clemson is over Notre Dame. So, like I said, some of these placements are a little bit off, but Clemson is over Notre Dame. Louisville at 1-5. Florida State 1-5. Big Ten. Ohio State just lost their first game in upsetting fashion to Oregon, but they're tied in wins with Penn State with 4 and 1 less loss. So that is why they remain number 1 in the Big Ten. And Penn State is 4-2 at number 2. Maryland, they're 3-2. Tough loss against Notre Dame. That one win would have put them over Penn State, but didn't happen. Maryland 2-4. I mean, not Maryland. Wisconsin 2-4 and Michigan 2-4. Michigan kind of underperforming here in this, but you know, like I said, tough schedule. But there were some games they still should have won. Shouldn't be 2-4 in my opinion on the season. And Iowa, you know, 1 win out of 6, 1-5. Big 12, the conference to watch this season, man. First team to go bowl eligible. TCU 6-0. Texas right on their tails. They honestly, like I said earlier, should be undefeated as well. Didn't win a game they were expected to against Penn State. And 5-1. Baylor, they're 3-2. West Virginia 3-3. So Baylor goes over West Virginia due to the fact that, of course, that they have 1 less loss. Oklahoma 2-3. Been a tough start, really tough start to the season for them, but still manageable to come back and turn things around. And Oak State 1-5. And finally, the Pac-12, which is becoming a very interesting conference to watch as well. Really seems like USC is going to run away with it, but no guarantees. No guarantees, because even though USC did beat the 2 front runners in Oregon and Washington, Oregon still upset Ohio State and have beaten Georgia. Washington still has weaker teams to play this year, so their record can shoot up. And so, of course, USC, they have a tougher schedule that is going to start to ramp up a little bit more even here from here on out. So, yeah, there's a chance things could flip around here. But USC, still their division, not seeing anything really, their conference still not seeing anything really changing here with them being on top. Oregon, though, like I said, front runners to compete for the Pac-12 Conference Championship, 4-2. Washington 3-3. Arizona State 2-4. Stanford 2-4, and UCLA 2-4. So those are the standings for the top 20. I said the top 25 for the conferences. I'm all over the place here, trying to look around, see what else I got to do here. So let's go ahead and get a look at the schedule. First, I want to try to pull up and see. Okay, so this is what is going on this week. I'm trying to get to the Forbes list. Did Forbes post out the spreads this week? No, it doesn't look like he did. All right, so he didn't give out any spreads this week. I'll get if he's unable to do that this week, I'll make sure to do that. Yeah, I'll just go through this schedule and just predict who I think is going to win. I'm not going to say by any point spread. I'm gonna just say who I think is going to win this week. So it'll be me solo dolo on this. All right, SEC we start out with tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Alabama number 6 versus number 14 Tennessee. Bama all day. And why? Tyon's out of there. The backup quarterback is a 68, right? And even though the quarterback position has been struggling for Bama, I think they're going to be able to punch on Tennessee. They're not going to have that same firepower on offense unless TJ Weston goes off, which he has been this season. But, you know, you can't really win with just a running game. Only a few teams have been successful at that. But it isn't always going to be workout, you know, especially when you're a heavy underdog. And even with the home field advantage, I don't see them taking out the cruise control Bama Crimson Tide, as Dunn was saying in the podcast. I mean, Bama is coasting right now. They pretty much just doing what they're supposed to do, winning. And with a quarterback that just isn't, you know, He's doing enough to win the game, but not looking too great. All right, Twitch. Rob, oh yeah, this is something I wanted to mention. Rob might not be calling. I put on the let me see this here. Could you guys hear me when I was on that screen? I just wanted to make sure. Let me know in the chat. It doesn't matter anyway. But anyway, on that graphic, it said that there's an upcoming schedule change. So Rob has something going on. He has a lot going on. His job and everything's about to start up, of course, outside the RFL with teaching. So he might not be able to call no games this week. And me, I'm actually about to start my new job sometime soon. So I'm not going to be able to call multiple games. So there's a chance, unfortunately for you guys, that some of these games might just be getting knocked down to premier games. I can see about doing this late night game. I can see about doing a doubleheader again with Auburn and Clemson, but not really sure. We're gonna see what goes on, because like I said, I still need to study. Still need to do certain things for tomorrow. So honestly, most likely I might not be able to do that. So if anything, I might stream it and just premiere it, and I'll be out, studying. I won't be able to call that game. Then we have YouTube here with the premier games. Oh yeah, I didn't even go through Auburn and Clemson. Who I think is going to win? I got Clemson. Auburn's make some games close, but Clemson's going to win. I think they get it done there at home. Should be a winnable game. So yeah, the premier games are going to be good. So we move on. Just to fast forward to more of what I was talking about earlier, not being able to call a game. Some of these games, like I said, might be getting switched to a premiere day, or Saturday might be having the games premiering at a different time with nobody calling the game, right? I'll be able to at least call my games. That was at 6, and the late night Twitch game after premiere at 8. So I'll still be able to do that. So every game but the Auburn, Clemson, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Baylor, West Virginia game, those games could be premiere day. Now, what I can offer, because I'm not exactly sure, but I can try to see about substituting depending on how the situation. But see, like I said, I'm not going to know until like last minute. But if a game that I'm supposed to be calling, Rob isn't able to call, I can move a game up that is better later on in that slot to call instead of me calling it. So say, for instance, like we all want to see the Baylor West Virginia game. We all want to see that have commentary. So I would substitute that in for LSU, Penn State, or Bama, Tennessee, right? And honestly, out of the 3 games that might get left out, that might be the best one to watch. And I know guys want to see this LSU and Penn State game. So if that is the case, I might just move Baylor, West Virginia for the late night at 6 and just move things up. So it'll be LSU, Penn State tomorrow at 6, right? It's a lot that could happen, right? But so if you're in the Discord and everything, stay tuned. Let me see what guys are saying in the chat. Yeah, Dunn doesn't have the stuff though. He doesn't have the equipment. So like if he had the PC, I think he does have a PC and everything, but he doesn't have the mod. He doesn't have all the stuff. And if he doesn't have those things, he's not going to be able to call it. Like I can't sit there, stream the game, and then have him call over it. At first I was thinking, but like I still have to do my time studying, and I'm not going to be paying attention, so I can't even set him up with that. So if he don't have the equipment, I can't help him. I can't set him up for that. So would those games still count towards reloads? Yeah, they'll still count. Well, not really. If I'm still calling the game tonight and you show up, and make sure you show up to that game, you get the reloads for whatever's actually called. So the 6 p.m. games, like I said, I'll still be calling those. The 8 p.m. game, I'll still be calling that. So you should still be able to get your reloads. All right, so back to just flat out picking who I think is going to win this week. South Carolina, UCLA. South Carolina, I got these guys bouncing back. UCLA looked good the first couple of wins. But South Carolina is still, in my opinion, a pretty solid team that is just better than UCLA. The defense is bad. And, I think that Alec Rhett and those boys have enough to just notch the Bruins, even with them being on the road. So I got that. All right. Ohio State, number 5 Ohio State now, taking on unranked Iowa. Ohio State, taking Ohio State all day at home. They just came off a tough, embarrassing loss where they didn't score no touchies, straight field goals. They're trying to come back and win a game, and I think they're going to come out here and get it done against Iowa at home, convincingly. All right. Texas versus Oklahoma State. Texas, another win for Texas. These boys about to go 6-1 and be bowl eligible on the road. Oklahoma State sometimes can put up a fight, but they wear out real fast. So I got the Longhorns. Stanford versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame looked really good. It looked really good against Maryland, but once again, I think that's more of a testament due to how bad Maryland's defense is this year. With Stanford, even though they just lost this past week to a high-flying, high-powered offense in Arizona State, this is still a team that can do damage against teams like Notre Dame that aren't like big name guys. I still think Grayson LeCavalier is going to go off, do his thing, carry this team, and I think he's going to lead them to victory. So I'm actually going to take Stanford in that one as the underdogs. All right, Georgia versus Texas A&M. A game Georgia should win. Expected to win again. This is really just boosting up all the confidence these Bulldogs needs to finish the season out strong. So, I think number 8, Georgia's going to get it done there against number 25 and get them boys up out the 25 rankings. Arizona State versus USC. Obviously going to take USC. Good firepower and offense by Arizona State, but USC, solid group. Michigan versus Louisville. I don't even know anymore with these Michigan boys, man. I'm going to be honest. Louisville hasn't looked too bad, right? They put 35 up on Clemson, even though they lost 50-35, but they haven't looked too bad, and they put up some comp. Michigan has been dropping the ball on games they should win in this tough schedule this season. This is a game they should win, but there's been a few of those, like I said, that they didn't. This is the last time I'm going to go with Michigan. Michigan, you better win. If you don't, bells all day. I'm going to play them now early for you if you lose, but the bells is coming out if you guys lose this game. Gotta win it. Here goes a big game. Calling this live on Twitch, 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you guys don't miss this. UNC versus Miami. This was the ACC Conference Championship game from last year. And, hey, if I got to pick a K on who to say it on, man, it's my favorite squad, but I'm going to have to say UNCK, man. UNCK, man. Unk killed. I've been kind of disappointed with UNC this season, man. Definitely with the offensive line, struggles, all that going on. They can't really run the ball convincingly. Jet Blade is, like I said, butter knife out here as of recently. They've only really lived off the deep ball. And to really think that you're going to live off a deep ball off of Miami's defense, which is arguably, probably in my opinion, I would have to say the best defense in the RFL College Series right now. Nah, I don't see that panning out. Not with Jet Blade. Not with this offensive line. Not with Swan not having an opportunity to do anything. So, I think that Miami, look, I'm not saying they're going to dog them because these guys got Louisville hanging around. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all almost even lost to Clemson this bad. Miami cuts it close, but they find ways to win. Good teams do that, right? And, good conference game. I think it could turn into a good game, but I don't see UNC pulling out victorious in that one. So I'm taking Miami. Now, this is a great game. This is a great game. I really want to watch this due to the fact these are two teams that we did not expect to be all that good this season. All right? At least not up to this point. Not 4-2. Both LSU and Penn State 4-2 on the season. That's a shock, and one of these teams are going to leave with their 5th win, just a game away from being bowl eligible, which both were not a season ago. Both may make it to a bowl game this year. So this is going to be one of those great games to watch, kind of like that Florida and Wisconsin game, but except 2 teams actually faring really good on the season. And honestly, if I had to choose who was going to win this game, this is tough. This really is tough. I am going to go with Penn State, though. They had the home field advantage. I think Chavis, Journey Brown, and them boys is going to find a way to get it done. So I'm gonna go with Chavis and the Nittany Lions for this one. Then we got Maryland versus Wisconsin. Really good game. Of course, really bad defense versus very solid offense with Aaron Uchiha under the helm. But Wisconsin just doesn't have that finish factor. And I think that Maryland's going to turn things back around. I think they get the win and defeat Wisconsin. Now, this is a great game right here. OU versus TCU. Once again, this is 6 weeks now. Put this in you guys' heads. This is 6 weeks now that OU has played the number 1 team 2 times, including this game, where they play the number 2 team in a country, number 3, and the number 5. So top 5 teams they had to play 5 out of 6 weeks. 5 out of 6 weeks. This is the hardest first half of the schedule. They might even have the hardest schedule just off of how things turned out. I'm gonna be honest. We're talking about Michigan all this time, but what about OU? This is crazy. Now they got to play the number 2 team, which quote unquote some guys are already saying number 1 team. They should be over Miami, right? That's just ridiculous. Now they got to play that caliber team. I got TCU winning in this one. Will I be shocked if OU pulls this out? No, I'm not. I'll tell you why I'm not going to be shocked. I'm not going to be shocked if Oklahoma beats TCU because I already broke down my opinion on what's been going on with TCU this year. These guys have all this firepower and all this, but they can be stagnant. If they show up at home, even at home, they show up in this game being stagnant against OU, after what we just saw OU do this past week with Texas in the shootout, and Alan Moore comes ready to play some football, L's in bales for TCU. That's what's going to happen if they are stagnant in this game, which means they got to get going. They absolutely got to get going and show why they're one of the most potent offenses in the college series. If you do not show that up against Oklahoma, these guys will beat you. So I'm going to take TCU. I think there's more of a chance that they show up than they don't. But I will not be shocked if they don't and Oklahoma beats them. Going to take TCU, though. And the final game, Baylor versus West Virginia. This is a really hard one because we've seen the ups and downs struggles with Baylor and the same exact wave, same exact current for West Virginia this season, right? They're both playing the same way in a sense. You know, really good, really bad. Up, down. Baylor's 3-2. West Virginia, 3-3. Baylor's got a shot to still compete, trying to push on for a national championship, right? That's what they want to do. So as long as they don't lose any more games, they got a shot. West Virginia, they're already on the edge of just being booted out. I don't see a four-loss team making it in the Final Four. So West Virginia has got to clutch out the rest of the games this season. That's too much pressure for them that I don't think they're going to be able to handle. And I think Baylor, despite being on the road, is going to be able to get it done. Like I said, this is really a toss-up, could go either way. But if I had to choose a team to get it done, I'm going to choose Baylor. I trust in their defense to be able to keep West Virginia's offense stagnant again. West Virginia has already shown, even against LSU, you got a good defense that can hang with their guys pretty good, and they don't score points. And if you're not scoring points like that against Baylor, you're not winning. So I'm taking the Baylor Bears and the block party out there. So, yeah, that's my predictions on the upcoming week and who I got winning and why. We have no fun facts with Pat this week. But I will say this. Let me see what's I gotta pull this back up again, guys. My bad. All right. Well, actually, I can actually do this. Say yes, I do. Oh, I forgot you're doing email. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to save those then because you gotta message me to let me know about that, Pat. My bad. Because I literally forgot that you started emailing them to me, which actually works better. But just let me know. But yeah, I don't have the time to download all those and put those in here. So what I will talk about is the last thing before we get into open questions with you guys is the season 8 draft class being built. I'm gonna let you know where I am with the class right now, guys. I don't have you all build or anything, right? But I've literally already ranked every single player by each position on who is the best from top to bottom. I've already done it based off of what I've seen throughout this year. I've also even already totaled up what your overalls are. So all of that is already predetermined. Like I said, these are just guidelines. So I have a certain overall for whoever the best player is. And then I just pretty much based off of your talent, what I've been seeing, make a general guess as to, okay, who's the best here. So I'm just going through each player, putting in the overall. And as I'm putting in the overall, right, I'm not thinking about, trying to compare them yet with the players. I just put them in on where I think they are based off of what I'm doing in order. So the best players aren't even in order. I'm just typing in, okay, I think this guy should be this overall. I think this guy should be this overall. Then I put them all together and I sort. And the order already makes who's best or worse from top to bottom for me. Then I make corrections on who I feel is better from there that the list says is better than, than whatever based off of what I gave them. So I'm going to tell you right now, based off of what I'm seeing, this draft's going to be hella accurate. Because I wish I had done that last year. Last year wasn't bad. I think I did a pretty good job on the draft, but there's a couple things I need to tone down on too for rookies coming in. But yeah, and I've done more look at base draft classes for Madden too, so that I'm not ODing on certain attributes being too high and certain things like that. So yeah, from looking at all that, you guys are already ranked based off of what you've done. I already have you guys ranked overall in by each position, top to bottom. Like I said, that's where we are. And I've actually already started building. I go in order from quarterbacks to then on. So I've already built the quarterback. Not built the quarterback. I started building the quarterbacks. And I've already started up the draft class to build you guys. And what I do is based off that overall where I feel like you should be at, I adjust what attributes you have as your cap to fit that overall. That makes sense for your player and how he plays. Right? So as for example, I've done a couple players already, and I will say, like I said, this will probably be one of the most accurate drafts for the college, for the RFL. That's all I can say. Like I really, off the time I spent on this and the way it's looking, it's on point. That's all I can say. And so now what I'm doing, I'm looking at the game while I'm still building guys, but I'm watching games. And I'm adjusting based off of what you're doing. Okay, he's starting to look bad. Got to knock him down overall. He's looking better than him. Now it's just mixed, placement. Who goes over who? Where's the overalls drop? All of that. So I'm already set. The only thing now is, like I said, making it and you guys declaring, because I don't know who's going to leave for the draft class. I'm going to duplicate this draft class that I have. And when I duplicate the draft class, it's going to have the base before I started building people on it. And then it's going to have when I start building people. So I'm already going to start building people who don't even want to be in the draft. Right. But once you don't declare for the draft and you say you don't want to go, that's when I'm taking a guy I built you over and putting them back in from the base class. So that's how I'm going to be able to build the class. And that's how I'm going. So yeah, that's everything right now on the draft the draft that's coming up in this college series. Everything to this point is already done. Now it's all about, what are you doing on the field? Are you better than such and such? How are you doing this? Who, all of that, right? All of that factors in. What things are you good at? What things are you not good at? I'm looking at all of it. And when I tell you, some guys are like, oh, he's not looking at all his plays. It's not that hard as you think. Offensive line, though, is pretty hard. Like I said, the offensive line is pretty hard for me. But skills, everything else, D-line, that's not hard. I can see everything you guys are not good at, everything you guys are good at, and adjust it based off of who you're better than and who you're not based off how you playing. So when y'all see this draft, about to be fire. But let me go ahead and answer questions. It says no invitations. I guess I think you're responding to somebody to say, yeah, so everyone is invited to enter the draft if you want to. If you want to enter the RFL draft, you can go ahead and pop in. I'm gonna go ahead and put the top 25 up just in case anybody missed that. But if you want to pop into the draft this year, do it, because this will be the last time you have a choice. This is the last time you will have a choice. So really think about that and understand, because I've seen guys talking about this. Understand that if you do not leave this year, you are competing. If you do not leave this year, you are competing against 130 other colleges with 100 players on the team, right? Everyone in the nation on these teams. If you are not selected out of that draft class from what the game of NCAA, the new game, selects from, you are not entering the draft. So you better be confident that you're going to be one of the best players, because you don't even know who's going to be in that draft. It's a player that we don't even know. It could be a generic player that just is going to get generated, because what's going to happen is once that game releases and we start up CS5, it's going to be sent in the future where all the real life players, if they have them in the game, is out. And we're going to start with who is there and build over them. If you stayed from last year, you will have the exact same attributes you have now built over. So that's a perk, because guys from here on out will not have the 99 attribute, the 390s, the 485s. They won't have that. It'll be a whole different system. So you guys got the perks. So you guys do have an advantage if you stay. But there might be a 99 overall quarterback or something that's going to be at a school that, and he's balling and he overtakes you. So that is the risk that you run into. That is the risk that you run into. But if you're already a high overall, like I said, if you're already at 89, overall, and you think your guy's going to ball, you might end up making that class. But if you don't, you got to wait a whole nother year. That's just how it is. And there's also going to be limits. There's also going to be limits to the classes, because I'm not going to just take as many people, because I have to create all these people. So I'm probably going to put a cap at like 200, maybe 200 submitted players can be entered. I am returning some generic players too. So all of that will be included in the 250 or 200. So yeah, I want to make sure that I have the time to build guys and get the season started on time and, get it going. So yeah, it will be a limit to how many players can come in the series, but it won't be a limit on positions, right? So yeah. So now I'll go ahead reading some questions. Now I'm way back. Looks like see, okay, guys talk about the draft class. Yeah, slide that over. Yeah, nah. I got y'all's overalls already though. Definitely got that already built. Will the rankings change throughout the season? When you said that, Tyreek Fitz, are you talking about I guess you're talking about the players, or are you talking about top 25? Because that changes every week. Let me know. That going to change in weeks 7 through 12. Yeah, I think you guys are talking about position. Yeah, those change based off of how you're playing. So and keep in mind, Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, those change based off how you're playing. And keep in mind, a lot of guys I'm seeing here have recency bias. It's natural. It happens. Some guys are going to be on this player saying, oh, he's the best player. He's better. You didn't play 2 seasons. You played 1. All right? So 2-season players have got a lot more to factor in than a guy who played 1 year. The chances of you being better than another guy who's played 2 seasons, even if he has a bit of a down year, chances of you being better means you better ball out and be lights out and play against good talent and all of that in order to be on that level. All right? And so it all fluctuates on each player and changes. So it's a really accurate system. Like I said, I think when people see this draft class, they're going to be like, wow, this joint is really on point. It's really like, it makes sense. This guy's over me, but he's over me by this much, or this guy's lower than me, he's lower than this much. I did feel like this guy was this much better and all that. Overalls, like all of that's going to be on point, I'm telling you. Especially if you actually watch the college series and if you actually pay attention to the players instead of just being a fanboy of somebody you like, because there's a lot of you guys out there. A lot of you guys out here gassing up some players, and I just like to listen to you because it's just like, oh, you really think he's that good, huh? All right. You must not be watching. And you got to watch. You got to look at everything they do. You got to look at everything they do, who they do it against, how they do it, all of that. All of that has to be factored in. Is this their first year? Is it their second year? How consistent are they? All of that. How is this guy? Are these guys on the same level? Is this guy better? It's a lot. But like I said, it's already all mapped out. So let me go ahead and read through this. It says, this is crazy. Okay, I see guys still talking about, wonder how much 3 factors into this. I think I'm already answered that because yeah. So if you've stayed for 2 seasons, you got a really good chance. I'm not saying you're guaranteed to have a good overall, but I'm saying you got a good chance, even if you have a bit of a down year, to still stick around how good you were before. But it depends on just how bad it is and what led to you playing worse. What made you play better last year compared to this year. Like, for instance, is the team running the ball more when you were running back? Or passing the ball way more when you were running back, getting the touches? Like, what has changed? Sometimes, like I said, statistics aren't going to tell you everything. We've seen the talent, what you could do in a season, and there might be factors as to why you're not playing. But if there's not really that many factors and you're not producing, it's going to drop your overall. Regardless, you only get graded off of what you show. So some guys, I can't make assumptions for players. That's one thing I do not do. I do not assume that just because you have this ability and you haven't shown it that, oh, he could still do this. No, you haven't shown that. So I'm not going to put you on a level of somebody who has shown that they can do these things, right? I may, like, say, for instance, like a quarterback. If quarterbacks got really good speed, right? A lot of these attributes are inflated in the college series. You're definitely not coming in the RFL with these attributes. But if you do come in and, say, for instance, you do have good speed at the quarterback and your guy's not running, you didn't show anything about how fast you are, but I know you're fast because you have the potential to be fast, but you're not going to get a speed close to what you had in college. It's going to change, and positions change things. Based off of what position you play, there are certain attributes that don't go that high or that shouldn't be that high because of the position you play. So all those outlandish attributes that you got, don't think that that is truly the cap or you're going to get something close to that even if you were the greatest player. You won't. All right, so it's a lot. All right, so let's see. Will players have highlight videos when they are drafted like last year? Yeah, we're planning on doing that. Definitely planning on getting more of that presentation going. It's going to be a lot to build and everything. But that's why, I'm going to have guys like Dunn and back on the draft. And I'm going to take a more heavy back seat during the draft. Like, I'm going to talk and stuff in the beginning, but Commish going to be gone. I'm going to be out here coming back saying what the pick is And that's about it. And I'm doing the behind the scenes stuff and the presentation. That's what I'm going to be doing from here on out with the draft. That way I can have other guys talking. I don't have to keep talking while I'm working on these things. And so it's going to be much better. But just, I'm going to still be there, of course. It's going to be better, man. It's going to be better. I said, bet you 66-60. I believe he said, oh, yeah, okay. It's the highest overall a defense. You guys will see in the draft. Definitely not going to tell you guys nothing right now. Cap, pool. Says, Avi, that's not unfair. But what did he say was unfair? CS3 has a bit of an unfair advantage, but that's not unfair at all. There's nothing unfair with you playing 1 year and them playing 2. If you played 2 seasons, you might not look as good either. That's just like the NFL. Not going to take a guy that you've seen only play 1 year compared to somebody who has more consistency or has played, who has more film. Just not going to do it. I can't assume that you're that good just because you played 1 year. You know, I don't make assumptions. I'm not going to sit here and think that you're going to be better than this guy when you played 1 year. That's it. You know, so that's how grading should go. And that's how I'm doing it. It says, what's the deepest position in the draft, in this draft class? It's a couple. I wouldn't speak on them because I'm a commish and I don't want to, give too much. I think, well, I guess, if I had to say, I'll just leave it alone. If you're scouting coaches, you know what positions are deep. You know where you need to go for some solid players if you're doing your job. So, yeah. It says, okay, here goes Javi again. Yeah, it is, bro. I'm not complaining, but it's the opposite of equality. You can't have equality when you're the one at a disadvantage. How don't you think you have an advantage if you play 1 year and already you think you should be ranked on a level of somebody who had to stay here twice? Tell me how that's fair. That doesn't make any sense. So, yeah. So it never said it needed to be that. Yeah. But it literally, that's counter. Yeah. What you are saying is the same thing as what you're saying that the other team, the other side's having an advantage, except they were actually there for an extra year, So, yo, Smitty, I already assume if you become a coach, your player becomes ineligible for the draft. But does that mean as a coach that you'll be drafting for your team? If you become a coach, there are some guys who are trying to become a coach this year. You will not be able to draft for your team this year because you have to really understand and everything about your team. I'm doing the drafting for teams that were CPU teams at the end of season 8. So I'll do the draft, and then after that, you guys take over because you don't understand. Like, I could let somebody do that, but most likely, if they pick the wrong things and haven't been around and certain stuff, there's a lot more mistakes that can happen for somebody just coming in, having a draft in the class that maybe they didn't all pay attention to or weren't doing that. Even if you were a player and everything paying attention, you still don't understand everything about the team in which you are probably about to take on. And it's just not enough time. It's not enough time. Even right now, if you were to do all this, it's just really not enough time for you to, put all that stuff together and help put your team in the right place. So I'm a draft, and then after that, you guys take over from that point. And best believe, if I'm drafting for you as a CPU team, you can ask Mula and the Gunners, bro, I know the overalls. Of course, I got ways to where I'm not going to cheat the system, where I'm just automatically taking the best player every time and skipping over guys. I have to go in order based off of who's at the top of the position. So there could be a higher overall player that's at the bottom of a list, and I can't pick him because he's not the top in that position. So that way I can't, cheat anything. I can't just skip and pick the best player. I have to go with who's best available at that time in the position based off of where they are placed, not based off of straight up overall. So that's why, at the end of the day, I'm going to know I do have an advantage. It's almost like you're doing really good scouting. I do have an advantage of picking a player who is the best for the team at the moment of what I have. So you'll land some quality guys. And I could also get beat out by coaches. Coaches are going to be making picks too, taking guys I want to take for a team. So, yeah, that's the best we could get it there. But CPU teams will have good, solid players on their team, that's for sure, to work with. So, what stats impact slot receivers the most? I don't really. It's a lot. You know, really too much to go on with the slot receivers. I can't really elaborate too much on that. It's just build your route running, you know, short route running, catching traffic, things that slot guys, you know, need. And you could check that up when Madden within yourself, you know, just turning up overalls, going to franchise or something, and see how that, you know, affects that particular archetype. And that sounds like it's going to be fire. Yep. It says running, route running, agility. Okay, you guys are talking about. Can't wait for the draft. Exactly. Okay. Faded because you didn't approve. Okay. What is going on here? Okay. Facts. It's all film work. I'm not saying he's all right. I'm not going to that. So this man Q really needs this answer. What did Q ask? Are safeties grouped when they're doing best or worse, or is it separate? It's separate. Free safeties are separated from strong safeties and rankings. I have everything. Outside linebackers are grouped though. So outside linebackers are grouped, but based off of where they played, they will be on left or outside in the draft class, but they are grouped. I think that's the only position that is grouped. D tackles, DNs on left and right are grouped. So those are the only things that are grouped. Free safeties are split. I wouldn't say, okay, it's on that thing. I just want to know, okay. You gotta get me to spill something. Nah, y'all ain't about to get me to spill anything, man. Yeah, I've been tight-lipped since the beginning of the time with this. Here goes Javier, still going on about quality here. Oh my God. CS4 needs to have Joe Burrow stats too high. Okay. No, you're not speaking clear. I'm just saying your dictionary. Okay. Okay, guys, just going on in that debate there. Having 2 years. Okay. Big facts, Baker. What did Baker say? Oh, you talking about Cam? I'm looking for Coach Baker. Con. I'm gonna actually look on my phone. This is actually better because I got the thing up on the screen. You would think this would be better. Well, neither is better. Let me just keep looking at what I'm looking at. Either way, I'm gonna have to keep my eyes off the screen. All right, will players receive a draft grade, or what round will they go in? Kind of like how they. Well, I leave that up to the community, the guys who do podcast work. Because I can't really do that within the draft class within Madden because you have to take on whatever they have as your ceiling. So like if you were a first round guy, right, and I projected you to be a first round guy, and I put you in that first round guy thing, there might be 5 quarterbacks or 5. Let's just say a position like 5 quarterbacks, right? There's supposed to be a first round guy, even though we know that's not the case. But like there's 5 guys, but in the game, when I'm making the draft class, they only have 3 first round projections. So when I build over the one of the twos, you know, one of those, there's going to be 2 guys that's left off out of the first round when they really are first round talent. So that is going to be all subjective, like real life. Because we already see guys doing it. They making their mock drafts, and Mitch, I seen him do it on his podcast talking about, well, I project or feel that you'll be between the 2nd and 4th round, whatever. You guys get that information and what you think from the other podcasts. So, you know, everything else though is pretty much subjective, but it's subjective anyway. Everybody's going to think that you're going here or there, and you might not. You might, you never know. And then when come draft day, you'll see where you land. Through 6 weeks, your favorite games of the year. Well, definitely got to put the Texas and Oklahoma game up there that just happened. That was crazy. The TCU Wisconsin game, even though that was wild. It's crazy. So I like that. It's quite a few games, man. I'm not even gonna lie. Quite a few games that was fire this year. A lot. Definitely a lot more upsets than, used to seeing at times. Play now, man. You can lose in any game you play, man. Any game you play. So it's real. CS4 is real. I think this is the most competitive college series that we've had, man. I love watching it. I can't wait to see who's going to make the Final Four. I can't wait to choose who's going to be playing again in a bowl game against each other. Like, the whole playoff scenario and the bowl game is just going to be fire. I'm going to love watching those, despite still being on current gen. I mean, just the series alone makes the current gen fun. Makes the whole series fun. Big respect. New coaches looking to come in. Yep, shout out to those guys. Do you adjust just the ranking of the player as the season goes on, or is it their overall? So it's both. Adjust your ranking and your overall. Like, I might, because there's some of you guys are grouped where you're better than somebody. Like, I see you as better, but your overall is the same. Like, if you're still in that category, if you're in that same category of greatness, but some may see, it's kind of like you can't really say this guy is better. He could be clear that he's better, but is he better by much? No. Is he better by enough to be an overall over you? No. So there's a lot of guys that are still clustered up in the same overall. Some guys could say, oh, he's better or he's not, but you're still in the same class, and nobody, based off of how I'm looking at these, I don't think anybody's going to argue what class you're in overall wise. And another thing is, some guys look too deep in the overalls, because say, for instance, if if a certain guy turns out to be a 72 overall and you feel like, oh, this guy should have been like a 69. How is he this high or whatever? Well, what archetype is he a 72 in? Like a good example, Grayson LeCavalier. This is not me really giving out anything. We already know he's a great receiving back, but he can run the ball too. Let's say, for instance, if he was not too great at running the ball, but he's a great receiving back. If he's the best receiving back in the class, he's going to have a high receiving back overall compared to everyone else. And it might be better than some people's, but the rest of those archetypes aren't that good. So you can have somebody a higher overall than you, which really I don't have it. I still have it that precise and locked up, but you could have somebody be a higher overall than you in a certain aspect, but it doesn't mean that in this archetype, he's better than you at what you do best. So you could be a power back and a 69, 70 overall, right? Let's just say 70. And this guy is a 72 receiving back, and power back's like in the 50s, and elusive back is like in the 6th, lower. He's just a better receiving back than you are. Better receiving back and talent compared to your power back, but he still can't do what you do. So it's a lot to it. It says, imagine doing homework again. Let me go back up. I don't know about all those other things, but Sosinski need to be Mr. Relevant. That's a real life player, I think, man. So he's definitely not going to be in the draft. Smitty, when are the new reload systems dropping? What I could do is, I've been very busy. Expected within the next week or two, the reload systems will be out. I know the pro systems is already done. I actually got to get with Forbes on one more position that I didn't see and that needs to be fixed. But after that's done, I can drop the RFL reload systems on what it's going to be for next year soon. No exact date just yet. That'll be coming out. So yeah, I can at least do that. But the college series is still taking me some time to figure out exactly what I'm gonna do with that. Might let you guys rock out with what the system is now until next year. since we've been doing this. And it really doesn't affect too much. I mean, it helps you get a cap where you want it, but you still got to get dropped a certain amount coming in as a rookie. So I don't think it's too drastic, even if it's a bit over the top. And man, I forgot it. People scared to not go where they think they should. Y'all be okay. Yeah. Some of y'all gonna be real shocked. I want to know, man, if you're a player in the college series right now and you're on your account, I just want to know, what overall do you think you are coming into the RFL? I just want to see where you guys are. I'm, of course, not going to let you know, but I just want to see where you guys think you will honestly be when it comes to the draft. Like, what overall do you think you will have? Smitty, can you elaborate on the issue with watching Madden on competitive mode again? The reason why I don't do competitive mode is because competitive mode is, since it's really for user play, it is looking for user input for certain plays. Simulation is the best way to go because it's realistic for human error. It makes the CPU make error, makes mistakes. I'm not saying that it can't happen in competitive mode, but the problem is, like hit sticks and certain things like that needs user input. A lot of times you're not going to get that because in competitive mode, there's no user input. So it does affect the game in a certain way. And to me, like, it's not bad, but simulation is better. Are all bowl games going to have commentary? Yes, they will. All bowl games will have commentary. That's for sure. Facts, Monty, Smitty. Appreciate your Fitz. Yeah, we body the NFL over here, man. We love them, though, just in case we ever work out a deal, some type of thing. So I ain't going to talk too crazy. But never know in the future what happens. He says that running back for the Voyagers, forgot his name, but he was a 72 and was balling. Yeah, Archimus Morton, that's who you're talking about. Some egos are going to be humbled with back Smock draft, too. Smock is solid. I stand by it. Smitty got the locks. Yeah, I got the locks out tonight, man. Twisties. I'm excited to see what players are. Okay, here we go. We get into the overalls. All right, 67. We can go back, and we could go back, man, just for, after the draft and stuff to see who might have been correct about their overalls. So I don't know. Faded Red says he'll be a 67. He's Bama's wide receiver. Why I talk about 101 easy. KMJ says 77. 99. Smitty Duh says pecan. Fitz says 70. Nelly, I'm gonna say 75 to 77. Killian 68. Chico Canetti says 72. Setting my expectations low so I don't get disappointed. Jalen Brooks 70. AAA Arthur Almond Arnett 68. Sean Evans says 73. Daniel Severio says 80. Maybe a 55 for Cam Johnson. And Wyatt says 73 to 76 range. I hope. Ashley 75, 78. AAA 73 easy says I'm staying, but college overall is 89 RFL rating. 70 says Michael Simmons. Rico Andre Roche says 70 to 73. Yeah, Morton, that was his name. Yep. Dig says 66 or 60. I don't know who are you, Butter Swag? Who are you, Butter Swag? What player? Who is your player? In between 25 and 99. Alvin Max says 75. 68 for Pecan. Oh, that's LSU. That's Aiden Semino. Okay. Honcho. I'm feeling like a 68, 69. Yeah, it's okay. Semino. Steve. Who's Steve? Says 69. I know he's at OU. He got that OU profile picture. All right, so Michael Blunt says 67, 68 JC Johnson. Scuba Steve. Is that the tight end? No, it ain't. New fan. I appreciate you coming in, man. Let's get hashtag Steve in here, man. Scuba Steve, man. With hashtag Sandler if you want to. It's like, nah, don't do that. But all right, so yeah, I'll stay in for 5 more minutes. Any other questions you guys got for me? Actually, I had a really good time in this podcast. You know, like sometimes I don't, like I said, don't get to do, you know, go all the way in. I like letting Bill and Rob, you know, get their points. And of course, I don't want to elaborate and go as long as I did. You know, even right now, I still went an hour plus on recapping games myself. So, you know, I let them go ahead, get their points and stuff out there. But, you know, all 3 of us on there is a blast. And I turn up as much as I can on my own to solo dolo, man, when I'm feeling it. I was feeling it today, so. Said that explains why he was in the podcast. What are you talking about, Mitch? Track God finna be a steal. Any big changes coming to RFL this season? Nothing but great gameplay. I think it's going to be a great season for RFL. I'm still working on sliders and testing and all that stuff when I have the time. So I think it's going to be another fire RFL season, man. Every season has just been on the up and up. Every season in RFL. So expect some great gameplay. Expect another fire season. Expect you guys to be in there. Some of you getting an opportunity to touch the field, showcase what y'all got. It's going to be dope, man. It's going to be dope. Is that a cowboy shirt? Nah, it ain't no cowboy shirt. This is a PRP shirt. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I even got the pants, but I ain't about to flex and show all that. That is a while ago, though. Are we getting Bama and Tennessee tomorrow night? We'll see, man. Like I said, if some things got to be shifted around with Rob not being able to call games most likely this week, I don't think I could do double headers myself. I got to do studying and all that. So more than likely you might get substituted for LSU and LSU and Penn State, and you will have to probably be a premier game, unfortunately. Are you enjoying the play now aspect of the college series this year? Yeah, I am. I like play now way better because now more, you know, Creed's really been helping record the games as well. So you get more hands to be able to help you out to do all that. You don't have to just do it yourself because it was really just me and Rob, like literally having to share a file. We don't have to share a file back and forth now. We do throw the file back and forth from time to time, but anyone can record, and it makes it easier to get the games done on time and out for you guys to see. So that's the great part about it. Another thing is play now has been very unpredictable and fun to watch. I've loved every minute of it. Yeah, it's been a great season. Madden 23 been decent, should be far. Yeah, I like Madden 23, man. One of my favorite Madden so far that the RFL has been on. I really like 21. Season 6 was fire. That was my favorite RFL season in terms of gameplay. This past season was great, but there's still some things I wish was better with the gameplay. That was just crazy, especially that momentum bar and all that those other factors. Still was a fantastic season, great season. But you know, I don't see that being too much of a factor. I think it's gonna be a better season. Steve, he was in my chat and didn't know who he was, and I saw him at the Boomcast. Oh, okay. My friend and roommate, Steve. I've seen him showing him the league. Okay, that's what's up, man. Pecan putting dudes on. Yeah. Is he my friend and roommate? Okay, I just read the same thing. Oh, it is. Do you have a draft date set. No draft date set, but it should be like mid-December or late December. Depends on when the presentation and all that stuff is done. Okay, I'm playing Madden 23 on current gen PC. Literally the same as last year. Yeah, I know, man. It's just like, ain't no point of going. The only great thing for us to move this mod to Madden 23 is just the fact that you could put that in the title, which is why, if you guys notice, I've changed the game titles from saying Madden 22 because it's outdated to now saying RFL College Series in the beginning, because you don't want to, nobody's searching up Madden. Of course, nobody who doesn't know about the RFL is searching up RFL either, but, you know, definitely nobody's searching up Madden 22 right now. They're looking at Madden 23. So if you have a whole different title and they see college, at least they'll be like, what is this? Then they'll find out about the RFL. Better than you putting an old Madden title. So that's why the titles have changed. It's the same game, but yeah, the current gen. I feel bad for y'all boys. Appreciate that, Steve. Said great podcast. A podcast indeed. Appreciate you guys, man. Had to turn up, man. Crazy week. There's no way I was gonna have this week not get recapped, man. Mix got a lot going on. Bill got a lot going on. So, you know, boy had to bring that energy and rock out here solo. I'll go ahead and answer maybe one more question, and then I'm out of here. So where I was thinking about getting the P5. Most of my friends got Xbox. Yeah. We don't play trash box over here, Fitz. You might as well go ahead and get on that PS5. Yeah. P5. Thank you. Thankfully, we're getting a new NCAA game next year on P5 next year. Yeah. Hashtag RFL. Shout out to you, Blunt. Can I join the franchise? Nah, you can't join. You can't join our franchise unless you're a coach. So yeah, we don't just let guys in there. We don't play the game. It's all sim. So if you want to learn more about the RFL, you can visit our website, relocationfootballleague.com. You can also check this channel out for more of our content, just to see how our games are and everything else. Last thing I'm gonna say before I roll out of here, like I said, I know some guys have been expecting highlights and things like that. Like I said, I have not been able to recap these fire games that we've had recently and make highlights for them, and I won't be able to get to those, unfortunately. But whenever given the opportunity, I'll see what I can do. But most likely, don't expect highlight tapes. But go ahead out and support the live games. If you know, and watch the games. If you haven't watched them live, you know, go back, watch them. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the Relocation Football League, man. If you're really enjoying our content and what the league has to offer, it's been a fantastic season. It's always a great year in the RFL. Great time to join. Going to be on an up and up. New college game coming out next year. CS5 about to be dope. See it as the RFL season 8's about to come out. Like, drafts coming. Best time to be watching RFL football. But that is it for me. It's your boy Smitty, RFL commissioner and play-by-play commentator. And that's it for this podcast. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Not all the way sure if it's going to be Alabama and Tennessee. I will let you guys know. So stay tuned in the podcast. I might be also chilling a little bit here in the BC tonight if you guys want to hop in. I know some Discord guys are there. So, yeah, I'll see you guys then. Until then,